We'll put some.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Crones. This is my third episode, and I got to say the feedback has been pretty positive. So I appreciate all of your comments and everything. It makes me feel good, and I hope it's entertaining at the very least, but helpful in at the most. So today we are interviewing Jeanne Adwani. Um, and this is what she wrote. She wrote that she is a priestess, an oracle, poet, hair healer. We'll talk about that. And you hold space for remembrance of what many have forgotten, which is nice. That's a really nice, lovely uh, sentiment or task, put it that way, that you do. What's a hair healer?
Well, that started out a long time ago. I have clients that, especially what I don't know, do I name him? Uh,
That's up
he's
to
been in my,
you. They
yeah,
might not
I'm
want
thinking
you
about it.
to.
Anyway, for many years, I can probably do that. My friend
Okay.
Bill Zarinsky, who owns Crazy Wisdom,
Oh,
he has
okay.
been in my clientele since he writes a journal in my every time he comes to see me. So I have a stack of things. He's been coming to see me since 1992.
Oh
So
my
needless to
goodness.
say, he's been in my circle and he started calling me Dr. Adwani, and I
Oh,
became a
okay.
hair healer. And well,
A hair
I think
healer.
I can't remember what came first. I mean, I may have been calling myself a hair healer, but I know it had to do with a conversation with
Okay.
him. So
What does a
anyway,
hair healer do?
well, I mean, when you go and see your hairdresser, that person, there's a lot of things that happen. It's a very intimate job. I am in your
Okay.
intimate space, you're in my, so we are in each other's aura, each
Mm-hmm.
other's energy fields. I'm touching you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very intimate personal experience.
That is true.
And I think a lot of people don't really think about it that way, but I've thought about it very much. And
Mm-hmm.
being in that sacred space of the us, right?
Yes.
In the us. I think that for me, there's times when I am doing sacred healing. I may not call it that. I may not,
Mhm.
but I'm changing an appearance. I'm listening to somebody's life. They are
Okay.
very revealing, and my job is to listen and to um, find the path of joy. And
Okay.
sometimes that's not easy because there's people who, have their different troubles. I've been doing hair for 35 years, and, I've encountered,
You've
I don't
probably
know what
seen
I haven't,
everything,
I don't
right?
what I haven't encountered, birth,
Yeah.
death, tragedy, joy,
Yeah.
ecstaticness. And
Yes.
so as Dr. Adwani,
Yes.
I just, I have that opportunity to really be present and in presence and priestess a moment.
So yeah, you're really, that's true. I never thought of it that way. You are in every aspect of someone's life, really, from
Yeah.
like a funeral or a death in the family, and you're
All
getting
kinds
people
of
ready for
stuff.
that, or a wedding where people are just beginning their lives. Everything and everything in between. That's very that's a lot of learning experiences there. That's wonderful. So,
Well, I'm
do you,
certainly been therapist.
oh, I'll bet. I'll bet. So, I didn't ask you at the beginning, and I usually try to do that, but how old are you?
76.
76. Okay. And how do you feel?
Well, I feel well as far as
Hmm.
physiologically. I have
Yeah.
arthritis in my knees, and that doesn't make them happy.
No.
I have to be mindful of them. There's things that I am disabled to do right now, like I am not
Okay.
running.
Okay.
There's things I have to be extra special cautious as I move through the world.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm good. I don't take any drugs. I might take the odd ibuprofen, and
Yeah.
if I want to really get a good night's sleep, I take a little marijuana gummy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but other
Yeah,
than that, I feel really hearty, and I feel that I have
good.
a lot of energy
Mhm.
still, and that I'm opening a new business.
Oh
I'm in
my goodness. Yes, I've heard the that you
I'm in the
did.
mix of that right now, and that is no
Okay.
casual operation.
No, I imagine
I'm
that's a lot of work
76
right
and I'm
now. You're
gonna do it anyway. What the
76. Well,
hell?
girl, you go. You go,
I'm
girl.
going
Do
to.
it.
I'm going to.
So, okay, so that's what you're doing right now. That's what your life is like right now. So we're just going to go back in time a little bit and discuss, your growing up. Um, what were your parents like?
Mm. My father was pretty absentee. He was an
Okay.
alcoholic, uh,
Okay.
and struggled with his binge alcoholic. A nice man with just didn't make great decisions, not a bad
Okay.
human. Um, but there's a lot of stuff around that. He would
Okay.
come and then he would disappear and then
Oh, okay.
return, and he essentially abandoned us. And
I
I
had an uncle
think he
like that.
thought he was doing that, mm, because he thought that was the right thing to do, um, as not being in partnership with
To
my mother.
keep the alcohol away from the
I
kids,
no,
you mean
I don't
that
think he
side
was
of him,
think
you mean?
I don't think he was thinking that. I think he was thinking what I gleaned from my conversations about with him decades later. He just thought that when he divorced, he and my mom divorced and separate, they were separate for a long,
Oh, I
long time
see. Okay.
before they divorced. And I was 9, I think, when they divorced. I think he just thought that it was the better thing to do
Okay.
to really just extricate himself out of our lives, which was crap and shit, and not it wasn't a good thing for us.
Yeah. No, it would not
It
be
was
for
painful.
sure. Hmm.
I didn't get it. I was young, you know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
think, what did you do?
Exactly. Exactly. And you need that reassurance that it wasn't your fault. It
That's
was the
right.
fault of the parents. Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had a brother, Jerry. He passed away in 2000. When did Jerry pass? 2012, maybe?
Okay.
2013 or 12 or 13. I can't remember exactly.
Okay. Is he older than you or younger?
Yeah, 6 years.
Older or
Yeah,
younger?
older.
Older. Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah. So, and no sisters or anything like that.
No, I have a stepbrother. My dad married a woman, uh, who I had some conflict with in the early years of all that. But out of the goodness of all that, I got a stepbrother named Charlie, and I'm very
Okay.
close to Charlie and his wife
Oh,
Pam and my
good.
beloved, beloved, beloved niece Katie, and I
Yeah.
have a whole familial connection, and I get together with them a lot. They're
Good.
really I have a lot of family. My French Irish lineage on my dad's side is a very, very busy procreators.
Okay.
They were busy. Good old Catholic Irish French. Let's drink,
Let's
it's
go get them.
joyful, and let's have sex. So there's I have a lot of cousins and stuff. And so
Okay.
Charlie was very close to my dad, where my dad left us, my brother and I. He
Hmm.
was a really good dad to my stepbrother Charlie. And,
Okay.
and that was
Well,
a good
that's good. I
it was
mean,
a good
it
thing.
was good. Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
no
And
problem
I'm
for
glad that you're close to him as well,
Oh yeah,
that you have a
super
good
close.
relationship with
I
him. It's hard
do.
sometimes with
We have a
families.
very sibling relationship. We bump. We love each other. We
Uh-huh.
bump each other, and all the things. But it's real and true and steadfast.
Okay. And this all took place in East Lansing where you grew up?
No, no, no. Well, no. Some of it. I mean,
This was later.
I was moved around a lot as
Oh,
a
okay. So, all right. So you were born in the
Detroit.
East Lansing in Detroit. Okay.
Was born
And
in
your family
Detroit.
moved out to East Lansing and
Oh, we
you're
moved several places before we got to East Lansing.
okay. Okay. So
I
East
just
Lansing
went to
is where you
I went
settled.
to school though. I went to briefly to some elementary school. Then I was moved again, and then we moved back when I was in junior high. And I stayed in the system there in East Lansing for till I graduated from high school.
What do you mean you stayed in the system, the school system?
Well, the school system there, and living
Okay,
in East
in
Lansing.
that area. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then so you graduated from
I
high
did.
school,
I
and
did.
then
I
you
managed to do it.
well, I have no doubt that you could graduate from high
I
school at the
Well,
very
I just, with
least.
all the stuff going on in my personal family life,
Mhm.
I had a lot of rebellion. I had a lot of anger. I
Sure,
skipped a lot of school, and I was constantly taken to the counseling office. You're very, very smart, and
you
you're
are.
this and that, and and you should be, they were shooting on me, and I just didn't know really, I was young. You don't have the tools
New.
that I have
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So
You didn't have the stability either, it sounds like.
my mother did a really good job. She did the best she could. So yes, I
Okay,
had stability. I just my mother was sad a lot. She was a
okay.
depressed woman, and with of a personality with really had a lot of tenderness and joy in her. And
Oh,
but I was her go-to person because she was embarrassed of her life. Her husband left her, and back in the day, my
oh,
mother would
okay.
be 116 or 6 years old right now if she were alive. Back in her generation, it was always
Yeah,
the woman's fault, always the
yes,
woman's fault.
of
And she was
course.
ashamed and
Oh,
took that very personally. And so she didn't have people to talk about, but she ate my ear up. And I was, I was, I was too young to really be that person for her, but
yes,
there I was.
yeah. Well, it made you who you are today.
Well, it certainly did. And I
And
adored my mother.
that's, yes, and that's part of this whole program that I'm doing on Crohn's is what makes you who you are, what brought you to the point that you are, this
A whole
time.
lot of things did for
A
me,
lot of
that's for
things, of
sure.
course,
I'm
yeah.
well traveled and seasoned in so many ways.
So after you graduated, though, you went to Canada and you were worked
Did.
with your uncle in a ministry, some ministries, or
Well, I wasn't doing
was this
any
a camp?
ministry. I went, well, no, my uncle was the head chaplain for McMaster's University in Hamilton. Hamilton, yeah. And he did this program, and he was my favorite uncle, even though he proselytized excessively, and I was no longer really a Christian by that time. I
Mhm.
didn't know how to explain that to anybody really, but I was not. Really stepped out of the deeply immersed Christian Lutheran situation I was in when I was about 13, 14. I
Okay.
questioned a lot of stuff. I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
get it. I was
Yeah.
busy
No,
questioning, and I wasn't getting answers that made sense to me
mhm,
in the way I imagined it to be. So my pagan self probably started when I was 12 or 13. I wouldn't
mhm,
have known those words, but you know, and
yeah.
where was I going with this? Uh, what was your question?
You went to your uncle's, the
Yes,
ministry, you
yes,
worked in his
and
ministry.
he had a program that he had developed, and everybody was Canadian or somewhere else than I was. So I came in. I don't know. I decided why not. I graduated from high school. I literally packed
Mhm.
myself up, and I moved to Hamilton, Ontario for a couple of months. And it was very tumultuous in many ways.
Yeah.
I was rebellious, and there was this really cool coffee shop that was with the church I stayed in the parsonage of an old German
Okay.
Lutheran church, and we all had rooms in different places in the upstairs of the parsonage, and uh the girls shared rooms and the boys, and it was a really strange little thing, but I was 18. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And
It was an
you know,
adventure.
it was a major adventure. And it was downtown on the edge of some of the industrial parts of Hamilton.
Mhm.
Hamilton was not a very aesthetic town, but kitty
Okay.
corner from
Tell me
us,
the day.
the church was on a corner, and on the corner, kitty corner, there was a place called the Bohemian Council.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what's that even mean? I had to look it up. And, you know, and there would be people late at, going in, and they'd stand outside and like druid, literally, they were caped. And I'm like, oh my God. Nobody else wanted to go in there with me. I don't want to go in there. That looks scary. And I'm like,
Oh,
I
my goodness.
want to go in there really bad.
Yeah.
So I went in by myself, and I was welcomed like and I was young, it was
Mhm.
a the place was essentially put together by a professor of, I don't know if he was at McMaster's, but very mystical, very much into things like Madame Blavatsky, and they were doing astral projection. They taught me how to do that. I was just, I mean, it blasted my world open,
Yeah.
blasted me open. And it was a cool coffee shop. They had
Uh-huh.
espresso machines, and it was downstairs in the dark, and
Okay. Oh, it
I
sounds
mean, everything
very
about it. And I would go
mysterious.
almost every night,
Oh,
and because I
sure.
could, and
Mhm.
they would stay open till 2 or 3 in the morning. And I really became more involved with them than I did the
Mhm.
program, which was not so happy
Probably
for.
disappointed for your uncle.
Oh, he and I had a big old, big old thing happen towards the end of my experience there. But
Okay.
without going through all the story around it,
Mhm.
it was life. Well, the whole experience was life changing for me
Mhm.
in many
Yes.
ways. And I had gone and I had borrowed. There was this one guy, he had a big crush on me. He was affiliated with my uncle, and whatever other things my uncle was into, Heinrich Bayman. And Henry had a big crush on me, and he wanted to he had a car. So I finagled him to drive me. Did no One time he gave me his car, and I drove into Toronto. And Toronto was probably what, an hour away or something.
Okay. Not far.
And I found my way to their funky little part of town, which now it's all ritzy and fancy pantsy, but it
Oh,
was, or all the poets would go, and
okay.
all the famous Canadian people who became famous later, and there are all these little funky bar. I mean, it was I graduated from 1966. It was the summer of
Okay.
1966. So a lot was starting to brew
Yeah.
at
That
that
was the time
that
when everything
things were
started to
starting
change
to
for
really,
sure.
really, really shift.
Yeah.
I think I went from, girl to woman really fast,
Okay.
in that period of time. And so much was happening. And the Vietnam War was happening.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was critical. There were boys in school who had just graduated and
They were
died the
going.
first day they were there.
Yes.
No, they
Yes.
died the first day they
Mhm.
got there. I mean, blown up into nothing. And so
Mhm.
there's just a lot of stuff going on.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah. I
product of
I
that era.
remember our one of our teachers had us they had a food drive for one of the kids in in one of our classes. His brother was in over in Vietnam. And of course you saw it on TV every day what was going on over there. Not like now, but we all
You
brought
heard
in
about it. They didn't have
candy
the
and
same sort of theater of war
cookies.
that they have now.
Yes. Well, and I remember watching it on TV, Walter Cronkite.
Some of it.
A lot of it. There was a lot of it going
I
on.
didn't have TV then. I,
Okay.
my mother had TV. I wasn't a big TV watcher for many, many years.
Uh-huh.
Not now, I watch TV all the time, but I didn't, I was not a big fan of TV. And I don't watch the news now. I'm not going to watch the theater of war go on. I think it's
Oh,
hideous
no.
and
Yeah,
insane
it is. That's
and
true.
it's
Yeah.
vulgar, and shame on them. That's how
I
I feel about
agree.
it. They're making it they're normalizing something that should never, ever, ever
I
be normalized.
I agree.
Yeah,
So, then so you came back home after that?
I did.
Okay, and you did 2 years of junior college?
I did.
Okay, and where did you go? What school did you go to?
I went to Lansing Community College, trying to
Okay.
decide what I was going to do.
Mhm.
I wasn't really interested in academics. I wanted to be a psychologist and that kind of thing. But when I realized that I had to do all the things I had to do to get to doing it,
Oh,
I thought,
it's
I'm not going to do that. And so
yeah.
I did the first 2 years of getting things going. And then I just was like, I couldn't see the point and I wanted to travel,
Yes. Oh, yes.
and
Travel,
I
school.
had already been and gone through a whole lot by the time I got to that spot.
Mhm.
So I was ready to fledge and fly, as I already had
Mhm.
been,
Right.
but
Sure.
I was on a roll.
So, so you went to the School of Travel, you called it.
Well, it is
Tell
one of the
us,
schools that I got myself in. Yeah. Yeah.
um, tell me, uh, give me a couple of experiences that you had, just a couple, that not so much the farthest or um, the most prestigious or anything like that. The places where you had an experience.
That is actually a lot of places. So I'll see.
Okay,
I think I'm a person who that happens to.
okay,
Um, well, the one that pops up for me in this immediate moment that was really a life shifter for me.
okay.
I was living in Hollywood. I went for a 2-week vacation to visit my parents in Huntington Beach and stayed for almost 8
Oh,
years. Um,
Huntington Beach is nice.
it was nice. It wasn't my scene, but
Nice
was
place
I
though.
21, I think at that time, maybe 22,
Mm-hmm.
something 22, maybe, I don't know, 71, something like that. Anyway, um I had really LA and Hollywood were intense as hell. And I was like this Midwestern girl coming into this the early 70s drug sex and rock and roll
Oh,
and
yeah.
moving into Hollywood. And, the world was really different than Michigan. And people were
Mhm.
very physical and they were always hugging, Sid, hey, bud. No, no, little boys, no barking. Um, Hollywood was it kind of ate me up and spit me out in a certain sort of
Oh,
way.
really?
Well, yes and no. It was very dramatic, and that it really was
Mhm.
a wild time to be living in that part of the world. And
Mhm.
I don't
Oh, I
know.
imagine. So
I
I don't doubt that for a
make
minute.
a long, long story short. The thing that was part of the big ultimate transformational thing for me, other than, I was seeing the world through a lot of different lenses at that time, living
Mhm.
there, and had a lot of experiences with drugs that I'd never had. People were very physical. I was a Midwestern girl. We didn't hug a lot, but that wasn't,
Mhm.
people were like, hi, and
Yeah.
it was just overwhelming in the beginning. But, at that time, my extroversion was quite sound. And I, but after a few years, really cutting out a lot, I had an experience because I was prone to being very promiscuous then.
Okay.
I picked up people in bars and I often went places by myself. I had friends. I was a bartender. I was busy. I had a life and people,
Mhm.
but I would do a lot of things by myself, which I still do. And I think some of them were probably kind of dangerous. I had people saying, "What are you going to be, Mr. Good Bar or something?" That thing, the girl that I don't know.
I
I
was like
saw
that
the
too,
movie.
though. I was
Yeah,
like that too
you
when I
know.
was younger. I would do things by myself. That I think back now and I think, what were you
Well,
thinking, you
yeah,
know?
I was thinking, but
Yeah.
anyway, I had an experience that I picked up somebody
Mhm.
and he had a popular job in the industry, let's put it that way.
Okay.
I didn't know him. Picked him up at a funky cool bar that was I was just sitting at the bar having a cocktail, writing in my journal, because that's another thing I did. I did a lot of writing in my journals then. And I don't know, good looking man, older, started to talk to me, and one thing led to another. And So he took his fancy car and me, and we went to a hotel. And I just had a big old breakdown. And he was turned out to be an extraordinarily kind person. Nothing really
Oh,
happened between us,
nice.
except he held me and he rocked me. I this went I went down somewhere that was really a dark hole for me that just suddenly seemed to happen. I was triggered for reasons I don't even remember why. But from that, I with the gentleness of this man, fortunately, he
You
could have been
were very fortunate.
I was extremely fortunate. And then he wanted to take me. I'd left my car by the restaurant that we had left from.
Mhm,
And I just he went, let me take you to your car. And I said no. So anyway, he left. I asked him to leave and thanked him. And I walked on my walk back to my car that morning. um I just had epiphanies. I was like, I have to leave LA. If I don't leave, I'm going to die.
mhm.
Very dramatic. And
No, I totally
I
understand
I
that.
just had to make some life decisions that were clear, that I was not thriving in the way I imagined myself. I mean, I was making money. I made a lot of money as a bartender, and I
Mhm,
was, I lived in a nice place. I'd had a boyfriends on and off. I had girlfriends on and off. I mean, I was busy. And
mhm.
I just decided that I needed to get away. And my best friend, another Jeannie, who I just talked to yesterday, she and I've been friends for what, since 1972, three, I
Wow,
guess.
that's
I know.
nice.
Yeah, we're the Genies. We ended up
The
roommating with
genies.
the Genies, yeah.
Okay.
And so anyway, I got in touch with her that day, that afternoon, or
Mhm.
whenever of that day. And I told her what happened. And she's like, oh, honey, this, that. And I said, I got to get out of here. She said, well, where do you want to go? And I said, I can't.
Uh-oh.
And I needed to make some decisions. And so I just was telling her, and she said, well, I know some people in Santa Barbara. What about Santa Barbara? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. I packed my shit up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, no, the next, not that day, the couple days later,
Uh-huh.
she got in touch with some people in Santa Barbara because she used to live there. She's a California girl too, anyway,
Okay.
but she lived in Santa Barbara. She connected me up with some, a couple of things. And then this one person said, yeah, I got a room in my house. Some guy named John. Talk about somebody who would has a story. So borrowed her Volt. I had a little Volkswagen, green Volkswagen, and she had a Volkswagen van. We traded
Oh,
cars.
nice.
I packed my shit up. I called the restaurant, the bar, and I said, I'm emotionally incapable of ever coming to work there again. I'm sorry. That's what I told them.
Oh,
What a crazy thing to say. And that's what I told him though. And I packed up and drove to Santa Barbara at about, I don't know, I got there like early in the morning in August. It was a day in August, early August. And John was there, very nice man with an amazing story. He's got an unbelievable story. And very generous. I moved into my little room. Of course, I was wide
mhm.
awake and all geeked out. And then that morning, there was an earthquake, the larger
Oh
earthquake
my
I'd
gosh.
ever been in, which was only like 5.2 or 5.3 or something. But the world's
Okay.
moving. I mean, things are moving, the trees are moving. And I'd been in lots of earthquakes because I lived in California, but this one was one that actually moved things around. So
Wow.
John, come, anyway. So that shifted my entire life, and I did it all in like 2 or 3 days. And
Okay.
I left Hollywood and lived in Santa Barbara for
Okay.
4 more years.
4 more years.
No, two and a, no, I'm sorry, 3 years, I think.
Okay.
And then I
So
moved to
you got away from the bar scene and you moved to,
no, no,
so you
I
were
was
in the
still,
bar scene at
yeah, I was still in the
Santa
bars.
Barbara?
Yeah, I attended bar. It
Okay.
wasn't about the bar that was my problem.
Oh, okay. It was the people
No,
there.
it was just the way life was unfolding for me. There was a
Okay,
whole
so
lot of things going on. It was
it
not the bar scene, no.
okay.
No.
So it was so you were away from that. You stopped the whatever it was that was unfolding when you moved away.
I did.
Okay. All right. Well,
I did.
that's
And then
good.
I left Santa Barbara and moved to London, England.
Oh, okay. So was that your
And in between all that, I had a brief marriage. So yeah,
oh
that was
my
great.
God.
Girl, I got stories. So you got
Do you have any children?
no.
No, okay, see, I'm with
I
you
will
on that.
share this and I won't go into it deeply, but when
Okay,
I got pregnant when I was 19 and I
okay,
had a blindfolded abortion. And that is a hell of a story. I
okay,
won't go into that now, but
okay,
it's
that's fine.
I think that so the whole thing with the Me Too's and the whole thing around abortion, I'm
Hmm.
highly triggered anytime I hear nobody says, I just can't wait, Lucinda. I'm going to get pregnant so I can have an abortion.
I know,
Nobody
right.
fucking ever does that.
Yeah, no one does that. No,
Nobody does that.
I agree. I agree. I am on the
And
same
nobody should
page on
have to
that.
be blindfolded and
Mhm.
down in the basement of an old church and have that happen. Nobody should have to ever go
No,
through that.
that's
And I
scary.
did.
You must
And
have
it was
been
terrifying. Well, I was and I
frightened.
wasn't. Well, I was, but I had
I
to
would have
get
been
out of being
terrified.
frightened.
I would have been scared because I didn't know if they knew what they were doing and they could
All
really hurt
that's
me.
true. All that's true.
That would
All
have
that's true.
terrified me.
There were
But what
moments of
else?
terror.
But in your case, what are you going to do? You
Well, in
have to
that
trust
moment, I couldn't
somebody and you
see
didn't
any
want to
way
have
out of
kids.
my
Yeah,
situation.
sure,
And it
sure.
was 1970. Well, no, 19, I was 19. It would have been 1969, 70, something like that.
Okay. Mhm. All right.
Long time
Yeah.
ago.
So that was one. So then you moved to London,
I did.
England. Okay.
Well,
So
and that was part of the having been married to the Kuwaiti guy.
oh,
I married a boy from Kuwaiti.
you married a boy from
And I
Kuwait.
called him on his bluff. I wasn't never going to get married and I never wanted to have children. And
Oh yeah, no.
you know,
That was me too. I never wanted to have kids. That mommy Jean does not exist in this body.
no, 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 no. And my mother would say, well, one day. And I'm like, no,
No, it'll
I
never
never had
happen,
that
Mom.
yearning. Yeah, right. I mean, the one day you'll have a yearning, and I never had any yearning for
No,
it.
no,
No,
me
no,
neither. And
nope.
I didn't miss, I don't feel like I missed anything by not having children because I did so many other things that they didn't do. So,
Oh, oh yeah, me
it's
too.
it's, it's what
Yep,
you want, in your life.
absolutely, absolutely.
So how was England?
I loved living in London. I
You were
lived there.
married there when
Oh, well,
you were
I
already
mean, I
gone?
was married for a long time. I never got a divorce. I was not with this
Oh,
person for very long.
okay, I see. All right.
He sent a private, and when I moved back to the States, he found year 2 years later or something, he sent a private investigator to find me to divorce me
Oh, okay.
because I didn't care.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I
No
wasn't getting
problem.
anything out of it. There was no money coming my way. There wasn't
Yeah.
anything, even though
You'd been on your own all that time. You did.
he came from a very wealthy, prestigious Kuwaiti
Oh,
family.
okay.
So what?
Yeah, exactly. So how was I interrupted you, but so how was England?
I loved living in London.
Mhm.
It was especially after the burden of Aziz was gone, which was pretty soon.
Mhm.
I did move there ultimately because he was there, but I was running away from Santa Barbara because I'd gotten involved with a woman and that kind of freaked. I'd been sexual with women, but I never really had let myself
A
be
relationship.
have a relationship. And
Okay.
I just wasn't handling it. I had too many things going on, and
Mhm.
I just didn't handle it as well as I could have, and
Okay.
packed my life up and moved to London. Very spun. I'm a runner. I used to be a runner. Shit would go down and it wouldn't be okay.
Off you
I'd
go.
pack myself up in about a heartbeat and
Okay.
leave. That
All
was not
right.
always happiness for other people in my life.
No, no, it would not
No,
be.
no.
Because really finishing
Uh-oh,
what
you
you
broke up.
start. Oh, am I broken up now?
Can you
So are
see
you.
me?
I can see you. Can you see me?
Is it me or you?
I don't know who's doing this. Let
Uh-uh.
me move this here. Hmm. I don't know if I can pause. Oh, there you are.
Okay, yeah, you disappeared. I don't know at what point you disappeared. You're
I,
back
s-
though.
yeah, we're moving now. Okay, so, where was I?
I was in
Um,
London.
you were in London. And where did you stay in London? I mean, what kind of a place did you stay in? I'm just curious because the architecture there is very interesting to me for the most part.
Well, once Aziz and I fully, transformed that situation, and I got a job. I went looking for a job,
Okay.
and I went to mystical places and stuff like that. So one of the first places I went to, because it was even advertised, was there was a caretaker's job at the Theosophical Society in London, downtown London.
Okay.
Madame Blavatsky. It still probably has the world's most extensive old esoteric books. I mean, they're locked
Oh,
up. I
wow.
mean,
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
really quite a place. And
Interesting.
I followed that and I got an interview, and I would have lived in the Theosophical Society. Now
Mhm.
there was and it was it was like, they're like three, there's the ground floor, and then there's the next one, and there's the next one, and there was a basement. And
Mhm.
there was a flat in the basement, kind of an odd little flat, but nonetheless, it was comfortable enough. And I
Mhm.
would have been the caretaker of the
Oh, okay.
place. And
Nice.
that was very intriguing to me. And it was the Theosophical Society. By then, I was already reading about stuff like the seven rays and things I didn't even understand, because esoteric literature makes it difficult to even comprehend. But, I was reading tarot cards. I was interested in astrology. I had studied palmistry by then. And I had been doing a lot of other things that were
Okay.
more along the lines of occultish stuff.
Mhm.
And so had a really nice interview with them, and they liked I'm very fortunate. I often get jobs I want.
Okay.
People seem to,
Well, you have that confidence about you and
yeah.
the bubbly personality and the confidence. So, yeah, you would be a good person to hire for.
And they hired me. They offered
Yeah.
me the job. So I also had another place the same day that I went there, I was going to another place that was more, wasn't downtown. It was in North London. It was close to where I'd already lived.
Okay.
And it was called Earth Exchange Collective. It was
Oh.
a it had a vegetarian restaurant, and in the
Mm.
bottom floor, the street floor, we had a grocery shop, all organics and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then on the third floor, we had a bookshop and a homeopathic business. And on the top floor, we had a massage. We had
Oh,
some
wow.
massage. So and it was called Earth Exchange, and people would come from there all over the world. It'd been around for a long time, a relatively long time.
Okay.
And when I went there for that job, it was a way better fit for me. It was sociable. I would have been living in
Yeah, that sounds more like you.
and through that, because there in the burgs, there's burgs all over London, and the burg that I lived in, they have these places that are, they're like a co-housing situation. They don't call it
Mhm.
that though. So places that had been, uh, areas where the bombing during the war had been, and
Oh,
places, there were
yeah.
buildings and places that were just empty, and they would give them to these co-housing groups. There were several
Mhm.
groups around the whole city. And I was part of the one that was just up the street from Earth Exchange. And I got in because you have to get in because of somebody else. And it was like eight
Oh,
quid a week or something. I mean, it was really
okay.
cheap. Um,
Wow.
but you know, you had electricity and you had um, plumbing, but you
Mhm.
didn't always have heat. So you'd have to have different ways you would heat the place. And
Okay.
um, so I moved into those, and I lived in about three different ones over the period of time that I lived there. But I loved a lot of it. It was very
Mhm.
community oriented. I had the job of being, I was a restaurant person, so I know how to run a restaurant. So they put me in the restaurant, and
Okay.
um, and I enjoyed that part. There were hard, it was a cooperative. And
Okay.
so that
Mhm.
meant it was a collective. So we had to make collective decision making, which I hated. I'll just tell you right now, I am not that.
Yeah, you are not that
It's,
kind of
I
person.
am not that girl. I worked really hard. Well, because people just would, you know, like, make up your freaking mind. Can you not make a decision? And then they
Yeah.
would hold everything else up. And there
Mhm.
were eight or nine of us that we all had to agree. And I'm like, oh my God, it was arduous. And always this, I swear, the same person, she would endlessly,
It always is
I
one
don't know, you
person.
know, and I'm like, well, then you do it. "Well, I don't really
I
want
don't want to do that.
Oh my God, then why do you have any say in this? Well, I'm part
Yes.
of the collective. And anyway, she drove me out of my mind. Um, I didn't fare well in that environment in that way, but the rest of it I loved. And
Yeah. What
I
did you
actually,
do to entertain yourself, like on, when you were just out and about?
oh God. I don't know. I was outside a lot. I didn't have a car,
Uh-huh.
so I once I learned that it was better to take the bus than the underground, so I could see where I was going. And I don't know. I'm a junker. I've always been a thrifter and a junker, so I did stuff like that. I'd listen to music. All the pubs and bars would have something, and I
Okay.
had people that I hung out with. But I also did a lot of things by myself, as per usual.
Yes. But you made a lot of friends, I'll bet.
I
I bet you
I
make
know
friends
a
wherever
lot of
you go.
people. I know
Uh-huh.
a lot of people. That's true. That's true.
So you said you also have many, many stories of life experiences.
I do.
So what sort of just maybe a couple of those, your life experiences that you would like to talk about?
Oh my God. I don't know. Gosh. I have been a person who's been interested in the Be Here Now since Ram Dass put that darn book out in the early
Hmm.
70s, late 60s. And so Be Here Now is, I think about that always, and have
Hmm.
ever since the early 70s. Not that I can always practice it, but so in my now moment right now, what's exciting is I'm opening a new business, and that's pretty exciting. Um,
Okay.
but as far as historically,
Hmm.
I I've seen some of the most beautiful, incredible things, from storms that create rain. The storm is coming over here, and you're on the other side of a place, and there's the lake, and there's a rainbow, and before anything's
And
happened,
watch it all
makes
happen.
a 360 degrees rainbow circle in the water, and then you can hear the storm and the dark clouds. I mean,
Wow. How
things.
powerful is that,
It was so
right?
powerful. I've seen eclipses and full
Yeah.
moon risings, um, and I've had tragedies like we all have. You don't reach a certain age and you don't have horrible
Oh, for
shit
sure.
around you.
Yep.
Um, but I feel really blessed that I've gotten to see some of uh, the wonders of living,
Hmm.
from the things that disturb the shit out of me, and still stay with it. I mean, they're disturbing, but sometimes you got to be and sit with disturbing to see
Yeah,
how you want to live your life. Do you want
exactly.
that shit in your life? No, I don't think
No, I
so.
don't think so. Yeah.
No.
So
And then, yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
you go
I didn't
ahead.
mean
I'm
to
all
interrupt.
right.
Well, I was just going to say, so let's talk about what you're doing right now. Are you still going to do hair?
I am doing hair.
You still
Oh, yeah.
doing hair?
No, I
Okay.
set up my whole hair salons there in the back, just like it was at Even Stars, just set up a little
Okay.
bigger differently because it's a different shape of a shop. And
Okay.
then in the front of the shop, I've got art, antiques, and collectibles and
Okay.
vintage stuff.
All right. So
I
where is this place?
2 blocks away from Even Stars. It's
Oh,
on
really?
Michigan Avenue.
It's on what?
Right on Michigan Avenue,
Michigan Avenue.
right up
Okay. All
the
right.
street on the main drag.
Oh, okay. Is it east or
It's west.
west?
So
Okay.
I'm going, yeah, if you go out from Even Stars up to Michigan Avenue, if you go left, you're going east. If you go right, you're going west. And I'm like a block and a half down. So if you get to the corner of North Huron and you
Mhm.
go down to Washington, and then I'm 3/4 of the way up into the next street. So
Okay. Well, that's a good
I'm on
spot.
the north side of the street, same side
Hmm.
that Even Stars. I'm on that same side.
Okay. Well, that's a good spot.
It's a great spot. The space is
Yeah, right on
really
me.
nice. It's got a
Good
good,
parking.
there's parking in the back, like there
Okay.
is, there's parking right out the back door.
Okay.
I'm having my hair clients definitely come in. Right now, it's all paper in the windows. Everything's
Okay.
coming in from the back because it's not open yet. We're
Yes.
not all set up yet. I've had to get things to work and with my landlord and make everything so that, I got stuff working.
Hmm.
So,
Well, that's a big undertaking.
oh my God.
It's huge.
Sid, wait a minute. Sid, leave him alone. Come here. Come and say hi to Lucia. Come here. Come on. Say hi to Lucinda. Come here. Come here. Come on. There he is. There's my little boy.
Oh my
There's,
God, he's so
and this
cute.
is Sid. Oh,
Oh,
it's Siddy.
hi,
This is,
Sid. Hi,
Sid, who's
Sid.
that? Sid,
Such a good boy.
who's that?
Hi. He's good.
Who is that? Oh, he's a sweet boy. He's a sweetie. The other one's a curmudgeon. This one's a
Oh,
little gumdrop.
yeah. My little one is a scallywag.
I
We
love
call him
that
a
word,
scallywag.
scamp,
Yeah,
scamp and scallywag.
scallywag, and he is. So, what sort of things what kind of things is this stuff that you've collected over the years? And
Well, I
do
have
you,
things. I've been an antique collectible dealer for decades. I just
okay,
haven't done it for a while. I've been out at Livingston Antique Mall at a booth. I've been out in, um, oh, what's it out? Brooklyn. There's malls out there.
okay. Hmm.
There's been in Stockbridge. I've been in Ypsilanti, and there wasn't anything. Um, I've sold online. I've consigned. I've done all kinds of different things over the years. And I just haven't had a place that I could just make it easy on myself. Traveling
Hmm.
out to Howell is a 45-minute at
That's a
least.
drive. Yeah.
Oh, and you can't keep up with stuff and move things around. And I've always, when I was, before I moved in with Evenstar, I had a place downtown Ann Arbor, right downtown
Oh,
in an old petrol
okay.
station that
Oh,
was,
nice.
I had, and it was an awesome spot. I was there for about 8 years.
Uh-huh.
And I got rid of the hairdressers and I was going to have a shop, Sovereign Relics, just what I've got now. And I would, just me as the hairdresser, and I was going to fill the shop up with same kind of idea as what I'm doing now.
Sure.
Probably
Hmm.
a little more cultivated now than it was when I was in the midst of planning that. And then the landlady, who I love to pieces, she said, somebody offered me this much money, no contingencies. I want to sell it. I'm ready to get rid of it, but I want to offer you the same opportunity. Could you come up
Okay.
with that? And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, I cannot
Yeah.
do
We're
that.
not
So
that.
she made it good for me. She made them wait 6 months, 5 months. So
That
so
was
I could
nice.
stay. Oh yeah, I love Jeanette.
Yeah.
And um, then the story goes, how, you know, Mara and I, just after the new year, was it just after, the new year? We got together and we started looking for places. I mean, Mara was not thinking she was going to do that. She just knew that I was going to do that. And
Mhm.
we and Holly McAmont and the three of us met at Cultivate, which is defunct now, but in downtown MC. Brainstorm, talk about what are we planning for the new year, right? And I was driving over there, and I live right by Depot Town. It was in Depot Town.
Okay.
And I'm
Mhm.
driving down the street and I'm like, oh my God, there's a new for rent sign. Oh my God, it just went up. So I wrote that down and I pulled over the side of the street before I met them. And I called them. And the short of it is I made an appointment to go see that place that afternoon. That isn't
Okay.
what we chose, but I got the ball rolling. And when I went in and took this information, because I came in, I was just like, yay, I found somewhere. Thank God, I'm going to find
Yeah.
somewhere close to home. And at that time, I didn't have anybody else but me. I was just going to just do it.
Right.
I tend to operate like that, good, bad,
Mm,
or ugly.
Yeah.
And Mara goes, well, can I go with you to go look at it? And I'm like, really? Do you want to
Mhm.
do something with me? And anyway, that was
How it
beginning.
started. Okay.
And
Yeah.
we
Well,
saw
you've got it.
several places,
Uh-huh.
and then we found 36. So
Yeah. That's a nice store.
it's a
Even Stars.
great
Yeah.
store.
Yeah.
It was a
It's a nice look. It's a good
people go like,
location,
how
just
are
like
you
you're
now that you're not there anymore? And I'm like, I'm good. I was ready to make the shift. And
okay.
they were ready to have me make the shift.
Okay.
And yeah, it's all
Well,
good.
yeah. And you're not that far away from each other, really.
I'm
Couple
two
of
blocks
blocks.
away,
Yeah.
and
No big
I have
deal.
every intention of staying connected to them. I love them.
Yeah. Well, we
I
all
love them. We're all
are
connected.
connected.
It's like
Yeah,
you and Rob,
yeah,
like I'm
for
part of the
sure.
circle, all that circle, and
Absolutely.
I have
Absolutely.
every intention of maintaining that.
Yes. Yes.
So,
So, okay. Um, Anything else you would like to add? What are your future plans?
well,
Just working
getting
on the
that
store?
shop together and getting everybody, aligned. And I think though I am once that I have to be careful because I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I know how to
Right.
do a
I'm
lot
like
of
that too.
things.
Yeah.
I'm very eclectic. I'm a very Renaissance kind of woman. I know how to do a lot of things.
Hmm.
And I can't bring them. It's not in on behalf of the best thing for myself or the shop to have a little bit of that and then a little of that and that and that and that. So
Yeah.
in the hair salon and the art, antiques and collectible and vintage right now is a lot. And
That is a lot.
I want to figure out um I want to keep my spiritual life uh alive. I need to keep, oh, here we go. Boys, stop it. Sid. Sid is such an antagonist. Get up here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Sorry, he's so cute. Come
Okay,
here.
no,
Come here. Come here. Sorry about that. Yeah, he's like, I'm not gonna. I'm not.
Maybe.
Anyway, just keeping that part of my life. I mean, I'm in a priestess path that I've been on for 8 years, and I do that. And I work with sacred oils. Maybe you know that too. There's a lot of things. I'm like, how can I bring some of that into this experience? And I don't know yet,
Oh, yeah. That's
because
interesting.
I I'm going to have the front of the shop, which is set up similar to how I'll be set up. I was set up at Even Star, so, but it's not as big. I mean, I have 750 square feet. That's almost 1,400. That's almost twice as big as what I have.
Oh, okay.
So it's a whole different physiological size.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. I'm in the back and the other activities happening in the front and down the hall. But I got to figure that out. Pardon me. How
You
I
will.
will include,
You got to incorporate
well,
it in somehow,
in
in
some
some
way,
way.
whether I do it there or like
I mean,
I come out to you guys, or when Mara and because Tilk is, that's all gonna close down. They're getting out of there.
what
And
Who's closing down?
But you know, the place where Kalu and, you know, the Tilk office, the center.
Yes.
That's gonna close down.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yes, that's.
I think I
gonna-
did. I think I
I
did
think
know
you
that.
would know that. Mara
I
probably.
did know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna come to some closure here in the not too far distant future.
Yeah.
So, I've got stuff there. I gotta get out of there.
Oh, okay. But I
Yeah.
mean, maybe, I mean, the stuff that you collect, does it, I'm thinking that it probably draws you to it if it is more in the same vein of as what you do, like
Well, it
for lack
can.
of a better word, mystical or magical sorts of things.
Well, I always think about them that way anyway, because that's just how I'm
Yes,
junking. However, that doesn't mean it might be to somebody else, or they might even think about it that way.
but you could
But I put
present it
everything,
that way. You could
well,
present it
it's
that way.
definitely gonna be presented in there somehow
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year. And I may start selling some of my blends of oils that I make. I
Okay.
don't know, but you know, right now that is not my first thing. I have to get what I need stabilized first. I'm a
For
double
sure.
Capricorn. I gotta
Yeah,
have
you're
things.
all, yeah, you got a
I
lot
gotta,
on
you
your
know,
plate.
for all the exotic things and spontaneity that I have within me, I also
Mhm.
need order and rules and things to be a
Sure.
certain way so that I can move from there. And I don't know what that
Mm.
exactly looks like just yet. So
I am the same way. And I understand that completely.
I know you're very eclectic in that way. I mean, you make things and do things and
Yeah,
oh,
I get,
okay.
I get bored
The
fast.
post person was just here and that
Oh, no.
very boys, children, lads, sit, bandit, hush. They don't care what I say.
They're not listening
Sid
to you.
shuts up, but bandit won't
Hey,
shut up.
well,
Anyway,
thanks.
yeah,
I
thank you. You know,
thank
I hope
you for doing this with me, and it was so interesting. And we'll have to do it again to catch up and see how you're doing. But I'm sorry I
yeah.
interrupted you again. Go ahead.
No,
What
no,
were you
you
going to
didn't.
say?
I don't. I have so much to say. There's no sense in me saying anything more. I I've done a lot. Oops, are you there? There you are.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's fun to see you and
Yes.
hoping
And
to try to do some things out by you guys.
okay,
When
so this is Jeanne Adwani. When her store gets together, we have to go and check it out. Which we will
yes.
do that. And thank you again for joining us on Crohn's, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right.